Welcome to International Love Story, a podcast about long distance and multicultural relationships. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Those ones who listened to the last episode, they know that the last episode was a little bit emotional, as Nacha and I were talking about long distance relationships between family members and friends. So we do have some news for you guys. Just wanted to mention that within just a few days, everything had changed drastically because Nacho got his passport sooner than expected. So we know now for sure that when something occurs in Argentina that he will be able to travel, which takes a lot of pressure from our shoulders. So this is amazing, and soon we will start our trip through Europe as well. So things have changed meanwhile in the past few days. And yeah, today we're going to talk about the bright sides of long distance relationships, because being in a long distance relationship comes with many challenges, but it also brings out the best of you. And two people who are showing this to each other every day are Kaelynn and Dave. I'm going to welcome them today in this episode. And you guys will know how they got to know each other. But Kaelynn and Dave, they are, masters of dating on long distance. So they are super creative when it comes to long distance date ideas. This is also, by the way, how their Instagram account is called. So some of you might know them already. So if you would like to know how to keep your long distance relationship spicy and interesting, make sure to listen to the whole episode. They are sharing so many valuable tips, and I wish to have known them 5 years ago already. Thank you so much for your time today, guys. And it's so excited for you guys to be here, to be able to interview you a little bit about yourself, about the current situation, about your future plans, and your story. Super interesting.
Oh, like just our love story, like how we met and everything like that?
No, just go ahead and introduce yourself first, like where you're located and who you are, all the information.
Sounds good.
List of fears, all that good stuff.
Well, my name is Kaelynn, and I live in British Columbia, Canada. So I live all the way on the west coast of North America, and I've lived here my whole life. And I'm now 25, and 2 years ago I met Dave, who will now introduce himself.
So I'm Dave. I live on the East Coast of the United States in Maryland, which is about 20-30 minutes from Washington, D.C. I'll be 39 this year. And this is the best 2 years, two years, a couple months of my life, and also the worst some years of my life because I'm separated from the woman I love, and bittersweet moments. Yeah.
Yeah, so this brings us directly to the point, to your love story of how you guys met. So how did everything started? Where did you meet? And how did it develop from there on?
Well, we met randomly on Reddit. I was doing card tricks, and I do card tricks, do card illusions, I say. And we were just commenting on a post, and I said, I can teach you how. I thought I was a guy at the time. I said, I can teach you how to shuffle cards. I love teaching people and showing people like, look how cool this is. I can shuffle cards. I can do way more than that. But and all of a sudden there pops in this adorable person. I'm like, oh, well, you're cool. I'll show you how to shuffle cards. It's cool. This this is definitely not going to turn to anything else. And we didn't stop talking for 3 hours. And after it was like, So we want to talk tomorrow, right? Yeah, definitely. And we did for 5 hours. And, obviously, well, we should probably do a third day too. And that was 8 hours. And we were within the first week going, I don't love you, do I? I think I do. Wait, I can't love you in the first week. That's just weird. No. I must be suffering from an aneurysm or something. I hope she doesn't feel the same way because that would be really bizarre. Oh, she does. Oh dear, what is going on? And from then on, it was, just head over heels. We're like, why? You're the missing piece of my life. Where have you been this whole time? And the rest is history.
Yeah, we were really in love, like at first sight, basically. Like that night, we couldn't stop thinking of each other. Those whole first 5 days, we were just trying not to say the words "I love you" because we were like, this is too fast, too soon.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane to be doing something like that. But within immediately, we knew that this was something that was going to change our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it did.
So how do I have to picture it? You both had the feeling that, okay, the other person is feeling the same, but in the beginning, obviously, you were thinking, hey, if I'm saying out loud, I think I love you, it would be too much because we barely know each other. But
exactly.
In which moment did you both start talking about it and you both were like, okay, listen, I'm feeling this and that for you. So how do I have to picture it after such a short time?
I actually can picture really well standing next to my bed. It was like late at night because she's 3 hours behind me. So, it's 3 a.m. in the morning for me, but 12 o'clock at night for her. And of course, we're talking, extended hours of night. We're like 1 o'clock. We can keep going. I'm not going to hang up on you. No. Mm-hmm. And I just remember going like, why? I can't say it that quickly. It's only been like 5 days. That's ridiculous. Like, am I feeling this way already? That's crazy. I've been in relationships before. This is, many years. And like, this can't be. And I remember just texting you and going, okay, I want to say something, but it's weird. And I'm thinking, okay, I really, really hope. But there was also that thing in the back of your head going, no, she's going to say the same thing. Like, I just knew it. I'm like, no, we both are on the same page of this. There was no fear in saying, you know what? I want to say that special word, but I can't because it's weird. And I think you agree. And she was like right there going, yep, I agree. We can't say it. It's too soon, but we both feel the exact same way. So here we are both saying, yeah, I love you, but we're not going to say it. We both agree, but we can't actually say it because that would be weird. And we said, okay, fine. We won't say it until we're in person. That lasted about 4 or 5 days. And then we just finally said it and we didn't care anymore.
Yeah, we couldn't wait. I remember very specifically, we were saying things like, I like you a lot. Like, I like you more than anyone. Like, you're really awesome. Like, we were just like you were just on the cusp of, I'm in love with you, like almost saying it, but not quite. Like, you're just the best person ever. How do I say this without saying it? But we were definitely immediately in love and still very much are.
Yeah.
And the moment you were also obviously fully aware that there's a border dividing you, that there's a time difference, that there are several miles between you guys, and that still didn't stop you from getting to know each other and for somehow it's not a risk. I mean, if you found your soulmate, I think you would do anything basically to see where it's going to lead. But then you do have like telling other people, friends, family members, your experience, like, hey, I've met this amazing guy and we've never met. They would say most probably, hey, are you crazy? Like, what are you talking about? Because for them, it's difficult to understand. But all this didn't stop you from getting to know each other and from, taking any hurdle that might occur within the next few months, which obviously now there were a few, but we'll get back to that later. So just you were talking a few days and then you decided to meet in person.
Yeah. We
go ahead.
Right away started looking up how far apart we were, what flights looked like. But there was obviously a few obstacles with that. I was still living at home at the time. Dave didn't have a passport. And I was not about to just fly across the world to meet a man on the internet who says he loves me, like I need to know for sure. So the original plan was Dave was going to come out to see me. But he had to apply for a passport, and we had to get that.
Yeah, mine was expired. It's like, okay, I can't do it. It's just bad timing. Let's really try to make this work. And yeah, it just kept getting extended.
After about 6 months, my family had a trip where we were going out to New York, and that's close to Dave. And I figured, I'm going to New York. I'm going to meet him. So I got to spend a weekend with him and meet him for the first time. And we just knew instantly that we had that confirmation that the feelings we felt online for 6 months really were real, and that this really was my other half. My soulmate was here with me.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, you're good. No, go ahead.
No, just so many questions right now, because I'm just picturing it. And what I would be interested in is like, because you knew each other by most probably FaceTiming, obviously a lot of phone calls, several hours. How was it to finally see each other in person? Like, how did it feel to hug for the first time and to smell the other person? You know, there are so many other things coming together when you see each other physically.
Right. You're only really experiencing those two senses like sight and sound, right? When you're either Skyping or FaceTiming or whatever. And then you don't realize that. Like, I remember seeing her staying at the airport. Here she comes to the doors and hugging her like, yay. And then my body going, who are you hugging? Like, I'm hugging Kaelynn. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, that's a stranger. You're hugging a stranger. No, I'm not. Have you ever smelled this person before? No. Have you ever touched her? No. Have you ever seen her in 3 dimensions? No. Have you ever heard her voice without a speaker? No, oh, you're right. I'm hugging a stranger. What am I doing? And I start, internally freaking out. And she's doing the same thing, like, like nervous laughter, like, I'm getting in the car with a stranger. I'm walking. What is going on? And it took. Yeah, good.
The whole flight there, I was so nervous, so anxious. Like, people on the plane were like asking me, like, are you okay? Like, they were giving me their phone numbers to be like, call me if something goes wrong. It was really sweet. But then when I saw Dave, we had that moment where we ran up to each other, and exactly like Dave said, my brain says, like, who is this? What? You're hugging someone that you don't know. This is our first time meeting. And it took a little while for just our body to kind of catch up with our brain and heart, because we were in love. We knew it. But yeah, it took a little bit of time for our body just to adjust to, like, we're in person. We're in 3 dimensionals. Like, here he is in front of me. So we caught up though.
Yeah, it took you a few hours. It took me about the same too. I remember like riding in the car and like, don't look at her, just look ahead of the road, which you should do anyway if you're driving. But like listening to your voice kind of like helped me put me back. Like, oh, there she is. That's the same person. That's the same joke, the same laugh, the same kind of humor. Like, that's her. That's the personality. And I finally got to catch up. Going out to dinner and then getting settled in. It's like, okay, finally we can share a beer together. And yeah, and I mean the next day everything was normal and we're back to. It's like I've known you my whole life.
As soon as we clicked, as soon as we got past that first awkwardness, everything was like out of a movie, normal, amazing, beautiful, like holding the hands in the moonlight, kissing and running around desperately in love. But that first time, like Dave said, we just had to have those moments where we weren't necessarily looking at each other and freaking out about how we're in person. We just had that calm to adjust to being there together.
This just gives me goosebumps right now, because this is a memory you will never forget. You will always remember how things looked like, how you felt, how he smelled and how she smelled. And like it will be always with you, no matter where you are, no matter if it's like in the next 5 years or in the next 20 years. And this is so amazing. I love it.
We do too. We love it too.
And then from there on, I mean, most probably, Kaelynn, when you made the choice of seeing Dave in person and just basically going over and spending time with them, I can only imagine that your family might have freaked out a little bit. But what were the next steps? Like, what happened afterwards, the first time you saw each other?
Yeah, my family had a few emotions about me meeting this man from the internet because they hadn't met him. They barely knew him. Like, all they knew was where he lived and his name, and that I was going to go see him. And so they were, a little bit worried for me, as you would for anyone you care and love. And so it was an interesting few weeks when we first met, with a lot of different emotions, both that nervousness and anxiety and excitement for meeting, but also those feelings of love and then those feelings of family. It was a busy 2 weeks for sure. And then after that, since we now had that confirmation that this was real, this wasn't in our heads, we weren't being catfished, we weren't being there was no scam here involved, there was no creepy man online. We were just truly in love. We had to start making the next steps of when we're going to meet. He has to come to Canada, he has to meet my family, all the next process that you would normally do in a relationship, but long distance, so a little bit more work.
Yeah, it's one of the downsides to being long distance is you're not really seeing you're only seeing people in a certain light. Like, you're going to be your best when you're on Skype, and when you're at home, I mean, no one's going out to the grocery store Skyping somebody else. So you don't know what it's like under stress. Like, hey, I'm waiting in line. Hey, someone cut me off on the road. So like spending that time with that person, I mean, with you, Kaelynn, it was amazing. Like, oh, you're just as lovely, here than you are on Skype. Like, this is awesome because you're now 3D. Ooh, I can now hug you. I can now kiss you. Hooray. And hopefully the same thing when I came to you, like, wow, he's polite to people. Like, he's not a jerk. He's not a weirdo. He's not, he has manners. He knows how to eat well. Like, this is a normal human being. I'm not being, because I think you still can be, it sounds weird to be catfished, even though you're Skyping. Like, well, yeah, you can always give someone a false impression of who you are, which is kind of the downside of a long distance relationship. But as soon as we interacted in a normal setting with stresses in life, we said, no, this is still the person I love. This is still amazing. You're still the person I want to be with.
When people have asked us for advice for long distance couples, one of the biggest things we've said is just like fully being honest, fully authentic and genuine, because it's true, you could have great communication, you're talking every day, but there is that temptation to only show them the parts of you that are nice, to only show them your happiest version or your kindest version. Even when we first met, there was parts of our life that we maybe wanted to hide or discuss later or tell them about, way down the line. I'll tell you that in a year. But we were just fully honest and open with each other. And if we hadn't done that, I don't think our relationship would be as strong as it is today, because we knew throughout the whole period of time what we were getting. There was never that question of, okay, but I don't know what he's like with his family. I have to still analyze that. But what we saw in person just confirmed everything that we had learned from each other online.
That's a really good advice, because this is also exactly what other couples are confirming. So the couples I've talked to in the past few months that are still, or most of them are still in long distance relationships, that what you said, the point communication obviously is important, but also to be honest from the beginning and to show all faces you have, because obviously you just don't have one face. There's like, how is this person going to react when this person is under a lot of pressure, when there is a stressful situation, but basically not trying to hide anything, being afraid you might chase your partner away, because at some point he or she will figure it out. And the question is, did you
alive for so long?
Exactly. And so when you, because I already know, because we had a pre-call, what happened afterwards. But hearing it from you would be so much cuter as if I would tell it now. So one thing led to another in your case.
Yeah. So, she comes in July. It was great time. Like we said, we confirmed everything. Like, this is the person. I go to Canada, and I've never been to Canada before, so that was great for me. Never really been to the West Coast, so it was an amazing trip. Not just because she was there, but it's whale watching and great food, and her family couldn't have been kinder. And then she came in December for the holidays, and for my brother was getting married, so I said, "Oh, we can go to a wedding. That'll be kind of fun for both of us, new experience." And so she spent about 3 weeks there. in December, we were sick over New Year's. I was expecting like, let's go to a New Year's party. It's going to be fun. And we were violently ill. It's actually the sickest I've ever been in my life. And then she's like, oh, I'll take care of you. I'm like, oh, thank you. And then, 10 minutes later, oh, I don't feel good either. So that's how we spent our New Year's Eve and New Year's, just laying next to each other, like dying. So then we knew like it was meant to be.
Segue into 2020, because that, I think captured what our next year was going to be. Because as you know, the world went into a lockdown just a few months later.
It started with a sickness and being miserable. Like this, this is definitely going to be the highlight of the year. Just us being sick. We were wrong. But so anyway, in February, I decide, okay, now it's time. I want to go. It's her birthday on March 2nd. So I said, you know what, I can go a little before and kind of surprise her. She caught on to it because she's smarter than I am. But I had everything planned. Flights were canceled and had to run around and do all kinds of crazy stuff just to make it work. And I get there with like an hour to spare, throw clothes on and run over there, out of breath. Like, okay, will you marry me? Okay, good. Oh, thank God. Then pass out. No, but made it a great moment. It was just so awesome. And we're in love and we're seeing waterfalls. It was just this beautiful moment. And then we're going, let's get married. We'll go here. We'll go on honeymoon there. Apparently there's some virus. That'll blow over. No big deal. And then 2 weeks later, what's a lockdown? Yeah, that's pandemic. What's that? COVID, Corona. What is this? And so that hit us pretty hard. And all wedding plans were then shot. Mm-hmm. Like gone within no visa plans, no nothing. It's just all now like up in the air. Mm-hmm. And then your job goes, we actually don't need you anymore because of COVID. Thank you, job. Yeah. And things start going crazy, going, well, how are you going to get here? I can't go to you. The border's closed. And then brings the park. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know we were going to do the park.
But if you want to, go for it. You're the park. You are the park, honey.
So we got engaged 2 weeks before the world went into lockdown and the borders closed, which obviously being separated by a border closure is not an easy thing to be doing when you're in a long distance relationship, because we had no way to see each other. And at that time, we were actually considered not to be family because we were only an engaged couple, not married. And we were just, felt absolutely trapped. Fortunately, I do live near a park called Peace Arch Park that borders the Canadian and American border. So we were able to meet there for a few days in that July and be able to see each other despite the border being closed. So that was something that was really special for us and we really needed after 4 or 5 months of not seeing each other. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the things that got us through 2020 for sure. But it was, since then, we've been able to help other couples meet there. And from there, we also decided that we wanted to help other long distance couples who might not be able to meet right now because everyone's separated. Mm. So we, last year, at the end of 2020, we launched our blog, longdistancedates.com. And we use it to share some of the ideas that have helped us throughout the pandemic and beyond in terms of organizing dates that we can do over video calls or dates that we can do online instead of in person when we are a long distance couple. Mm-hmm.
What gave you the idea exactly? Obviously, you're still in a long distance relationship, so for more than 2 years already, which is crazy to think about. But was there a specific point where you talked about it and you were like, okay, honey, let's just spice things up a little, or let's get more creative? Like, when did you exactly decide to be more creative about dating on distance? Was there a specific point you remember?
There was a bit of a domino effect before that, because we were interviewed by the news when we met in Peace Arch Park in July, which was super crazy. We got to see ourselves on television and got to freak out about. That's our faces, that's our love story right there. And from beyond there, we had a lot of people reaching out to us saying that our love story was so very inspiring and encouraging and asking us for advice. And we also started to notice that some of the date ideas that we did that to us were just a normal Friday night, a normal, Sunday afternoon, people were saying that's so creative, that's amazing, like we love that idea. And so we thought, we should put these somewhere that people can actually access them. We should create a resource for long distance couples with some of the date ideas that we have so that they can try them out and be encouraged. Because it's so easy in a long distance relationship to fall into a rut, especially with COVID. My routine is the same every day. And so to have something, like you said, that spices it up really changes things. So we decided that we wanted to be able to share those things that were able to keep us going and break that routine and do something fun. Like we did a Mexican themed night where we made tacos and margaritas, and we competed to see who had the best meal. Or we did what else have we done? We did just last weekend, we did a s'mores night where we both made s'mores together. Dave set up a little fireplace outside and roasted them on the fire, and we got to eat them together and compare recipes. And we try and do things that aren't just, watching Netflix together, because we can run into the same routine, the same staring at screens all the time. So that's kind of a little bit of the origin. Honey, do you have anything to add with it?
Yeah, I think it really has to be a core value of continually to pursue the person. I mean, when we're in this long distance relationship, you kind of have that up on other people because that's the person you want to be with. It's not a fling. It's not someone you met at a bar. This is someone that you love their person, right? It's not something that's physical. This is something that's purely emotional. But when we get trapped in that, like, this is my person, sometimes we get too comfortable, like you said. So it's that constantly, like, I want to keep dating her and keep trying to impress her over and over. And I'm like a child. I'm still daily going, hey, look what I did. Are you impressed by this? Huh? And yeah, I know she'll love me no matter what, but that's not what I'm not trying to earn it. But it's that, yeah, I love you and I want to keep pursuing you day in and day out. Like, even when we're married, I'm going to continue to date you until I'm dead or till you die. Like, that's what I'm, till death do us part. It's not, I'm going to sit on the couch and just let life go by. It's that continual moving and running at the same pace. And I think you have to do that with these date ideas. It's not saying, like you said, oh, it's Saturday night, let's watch Netflix. How about it's Saturday night and we're pretending that we're at a bar? How about it's Saturday night and we're doing a Asian themed dinner, or we're building a tent fort or something, just something ridiculous, or building Legos, or doing crafts, or painting and comparing wine. It's literally like creating a date that you would normally do, but just in the comfort of your own home. And it's pushing beyond this is weird. Like, who cares? Like, being in love is weird. Okay. Look what we do. We take our mouths and we push them up against each other. Like, the whole thing is weird, right? But who cares if it's weird? Embrace the weird because you love that other person and you want to keep pursuing them, keep loving them, and do something out of the ordinary so things stay fresh. So that's what we've always been about.
To touch on that. So, Tina and Nacho, you guys have so many fun adventures together, and you're about to start the greatest adventure. I think when you're in love, that's what you want. You want adventure. You want to experience life together. But is life together staring at a screen? Not always. And so when you're in a long distance relationship, though, you don't have a lot of options. You can't go out for ice cream together. You can't go for a walk on the beach. So how do you make those connections and experience life together while being apart? And so that's what we're trying to share with people, is that, like Dave said, you can continue to pursue them and have those adventures even though you're long distance. And we want to share people's memories, share those love stories and make it so that you can make good memories, that even if they're through a screen, which is what we have. All those dates he just shared are all date ideas we've done. And as he says it, those are all bringing back such beautiful memories of the times we had together.
Yeah. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. And I've been in many relationships, and I got to say, like, while it's difficult being, separated, I recommend people going through this at a certain point in their lives, because it makes them really appreciate what it's like to actually love someone when you can't just be, I can't hug you. Okay, well, then you push on and you know what actually matters. I can't just be, physically satisfied right now and just let me forget about something. It's like, no. Let's let you love the person and not just the feelings you get around them. I mean, it's tough, but this makes you really know and fall in love with the person.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Oh.
He's romantic.
The thing is also what I've experienced, and I'm pretty sure you did the same experience, is if people come across and they would say like, hey, how did it work? Or how does it work? I mean, that's a question we got a lot. Like, how does it work? Can long distance really work? Are you sure about this? And I do think that there's a difference between someone asking me, hey, how does it work? Someone being interested in the relationship, or someone coming around saying like, hey, do you think it works? And this is very painful. At least this is the experience I've made. So what are you telling those people who ask this question? Because I'm sure you get it a lot as well.
I would. Go ahead, honey. Yeah. I mean, I'll my 2 cents on it real quick. It's kind of one of those loaded questions because you could ask somebody, hey, should I date that girl? It's like, no, or no, she shouldn't date you. And I think maybe the question is about long distance. It's like, well, are you willing to sacrifice for that person? Like, are you really in love with that one? If you are, then the long distance should mean nothing. Like, even asking the question in the first place might say like, well, if you're not willing to sacrifice, you probably don't love them that much. So maybe it won't work for you. But I do get it, but I'm also going, if you're even reaching that point, it may not be worth it.
To touch on that, because what if you meet someone, right? And you think to yourself, should I even pursue this? Is it even possible that this relationship could work? And I will argue that it is absolutely possible. It absolutely can work, but I don't think it's for every relationship. I don't think every relationship can survive it. There's many couples I know who they broke up because an hour apart, the drive was too far. I was in a relationship previously before this, where the boy lived just in the city and I lived out about an hour away. And so it was too much for him to drive out to see me. Like, that was too much work. And I had to drive halfway and pick him up and drive back. Like, that was too much effort for our relationship. But for my current relationship, he would fly across the country and drive up in the pouring rain just to see me in a park, and sit in the cold and wet just to see me. But, so in that way, true love, I think, can overcome anything. If your love is true, distance means nothing. If your love is true, you guys will be together no matter what. But if your love isn't meant to be, it won't make it. That's just, I think, the facts of it. There's one of my favorite long distance quotes is that distance is to love what wind is to fire. That wind will extinguish the small flames, but it will inflame the great. And so I feel that's the same with distance and love. Like, that the greatest loves, distance only makes it stronger. It just adds fuel to that fire and it inflames it. But for a love that wasn't going to make it, or maybe you had issues at the beginning, distance will bring those up. It will raise them to the surface. So I wouldn't shy away from it. I would never discourage someone to do it. Like, if you meet someone online and you feel it's love, go for it. Like, it's always going to be worth it. True love will always be worth it.
I think some people aren't mature enough, and you usually have to call people out saying you're immature for this. But there's a lot of men and women who just do not have the emotional capacity yet, or the just let's say relational maturity yet to handle that. Once you do, if you really love the person, then nothing should stop you. Love will find a way.
This is also something you share on your Instagram account. Among like a lot of advice and a lot of information, but mainly about date ideas. So just for everyone who's listening, where exactly can we find you guys on Instagram? You mentioned, Kaelynn, the link for the blog already. But I do know that you do like you've been in several interviews already. Like for everyone who wants to know who you are, to want to have more information, to get in contact with you in general, where can they find you? And of course, I will place everything in the side notes as well.
Absolutely. Well, number one would be our website, which is longdistancedates.com. So you can see on our About Us page, we have our whole story as well as some links to news interviews we've done. So that's number one. I still have to update that with a few of the podcasts, but definitely that would be number one to go to. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. Our username is Long Distance Date Ideas. We're also on TikTok as well as Long Distance Date Ideas. Anywhere that you can find us, we're Long Distance Dates or Long Distance Date Ideas. So I can send you the links. But
perfect.
It's the best way to reach out to us online.
And it has been a great journey for you guys already. I mean, it's just like, what was the original plan? Did you kind of have a date already when you initially wanted to get married?
Oh, good question. Yeah, I mean, once we got engaged, it was early March, and COVID was pretty much middle March. We had said, July would be great. Right around my birthday, a little before that, like kind of a summer. Like we were so in love. We're like, why wait? Like she even said, I don't want a long engagement. I want a short engagement. Like, let's do this. Boom. Just get married. Yay. Well, we've been engaged for, now a year and 2 months by no fault of our own. And so we didn't really have a date because it was too soon. Like it was, hey, you're engaged. You're just figuring things out. Like, let's just give a range. And if COVID had waited another month and a half, we probably would have had a date, but just the timing was bad.
Yeah, we just didn't even have a chance to start thinking about those things. We had just gotten engaged, just celebrating, and then it was instant lockdown, border closure. We don't know when we'll see each other again. So we were fortunate that we were able to see each other at all in 2020. And even 2021, we were able to see each other just in March here.
Oh,
late March.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it was so needed because after 7 months of being apart, we were just going crazy. The winter was so hard, but seeing each other made it all worth it. That moment where we saw each other again, and I think we never had a final end date, and we still don't really know when we'll be closing the distance, but we want it to be as soon as we can. We know that that famous quote that once you find the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible. And that is still holding true for us, despite being separated with the border. We just want to be together.
Yeah, once the visa stuff goes through, so hopefully that won't take much longer. We might do like a summer visit if COVID should kind of wind down a little bit. You can come here and enjoy a little bit of beach for the summer. That'll be fun for a few weeks, maybe a month. We'll see. And, just kind of wait and see what happens. I mean, right now it's kind of out of our hands. We just have to wait for the governments to, not be so inept at their jobs and actually help us get married, and then everything can move on.
Because, I mean, obviously, like in any other relationship, there are days like this and days like that, if you could say so. And most of the time, especially in a long distance relationship, you try to see things positive. You are visualizing the bigger goal. You are seeing each other like, hey, this is how it's going to be like when we're finally going to meet each other again, or when we finally be able to close the distance again. But there are also days where it's difficult to stay positive. How are you handling those type of days?
I think something that really helps us to be positive when we're having a hard week, which is frequently, something is to have something to look forward to. And whether that's a visit or whether that's just an exciting long distance date on the weekend, I think having that positive thing that we're looking forward to makes all the difference. So, for example, recently we did a paint night where we both painted photos or pictures for each other, and we decided that we would mail them to each other as surprises. So we wouldn't show each other at all what we painted. And it was, exciting. It was fun. It was something that we got to look forward to and just enjoy that time together. And that's something that even couples who are in person, wish they would do. Sometimes they wish they would have that romantic story, and we get to have that. So definitely for me, it's looking forward, having something forward even if it's something in the mail that you're waiting for.
Mm.
Just there's a letter on its way. I'm looking forward to that. Just setting those things that you can focus on positively in the future.
Mm.
What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I would say focusing on each other. I'm not one for saying we should, kind of forget the moment and like, oh, well, let's just, I don't want to think about this right now. So let me focus on something else. But if it's focusing on the other person, that's okay. And I think that for me, that's what does it, is saying, you know what, I love you and I'm going to sacrifice for you. And yeah, this stinks right now. And I want to stay positive because I love you so much. And I'm so hopeful we're going to get married one day and we're having a blast right now, even though we're separated. But yeah, it does hurt sometimes. It is painful sometimes. And it's okay to be open about that and say, yeah, I'm not having a good day.
Mm.
Help me in that day. Like, let me just bare my soul right now, but I'm going to continue to sacrifice and push on. And we usually get over those feelings pretty quick because like she said, we'll plan something and we'll make something happen, but it's really looking in your eyes and going, yeah, those eyes I can get lost in and I'll just think about you for a while and just focus on that for a minute and, remember why I'm doing this. And yeah, that's what it is really remembering why I'm doing this in the first place is because of her. It's because of, the joy she brings me. And yeah, not every day is going to be, sunshine and rainbows, but she's my sunshine even when it's cloudy.
Oh.
You're so cute.
Kaelynn, he's a keeper.
I know.
I hope so by now. Yeah.
all the time he'll send me the lyrics to the song, "You Are My Sunshine, My Only Sunshine." He sends that to me all the time. We'll even hum it or sing it while we're cooking or doing something. He's just, yeah. Like you said, when it's a cloudy day, we can bring some sunshine to each other's lives.
So you're supporting each other. You're each other's biggest support, basically.
Yeah, that's what it is. Leaning on each other, and each being your own support. And like she said at the beginning, like you got to be honest with it. You have to say, yeah, that this hurts right now. Be open with your hurt. Don't be all, I'm strong, I can take this. No, it's okay to feel weak and say, yeah, this is affecting me negatively. Like I'm sad today. So it could be sad.
Yeah.
It's easier when one of us is having a hard day because the other one lifts each other up. We're, like you said, we're each other's biggest supports. We're best friends. We are each other's, life partners. So if Dave comes home, he's had a hard day at work, I can, lift him up and be positive. And same with me. If I have a bad day, he pulls me up and we do something exciting and, caring and loving. The hard thing, though, is when we both are crushed down, both have a bad day. And we both feel like we're in the pit because
then you just drink.
Yeah, those are the days that are harder to deal with because we can't pull each other back up. And so we try our hardest not to mope too much and get into that, woe is me, this is so sad. And you have to break the cycle somehow, whether that's, download a new video game or, do a puzzle night or draw each other or do, a popcorn and, friends binge movie night, whatever you're doing, just break that cycle so that you don't get stuck in that pit for too long.
That kind of brings us directly more or less to the next topic, because as we were talking about, obviously life is not rainbow and sunshine. On the long run, you are going to close the distance. It's just a matter of time. And obviously things have changed a little bit the past few months. Not only a little bit, I mean, that's I would underdo if I would say a little bit, but they've changed a lot for you guys. And you are the best example of how to pull through it. And no one says it's easy, but you make it work and you're strong, which I love. So I really admire that. You're giving a lot of advice. I mean, I didn't even ask for advice yet because normally I would ask directly, like, hey, what could you advise? But you're giving so many advices already, like due to the whole time we're talking right now, which I love. And I think it's important, as you guys said, to focus on the bigger goal, and the bigger goal for you will be to live together and to support each other in person. And this is so crazy because, I mean, you are feeling so loved, so connected on distance, and you know that you are each other's cheerleader, and that together you are going to reach the bigger goal. Like it's just like so much energy. Like, just imagine how this is going to be. And this is something I'm experiencing with Nacho, because we're really pushing each other. Like, he's pushing me the way I'm pushing him. And suddenly you're reaching goal you could never have thought about, like years ago, before we knew each other, you know? And suddenly I'm another person, he's another person. We are both the best versions of each other. And this is how it's supposed to be. And now I'm talking too much, but this is something that really makes me emotional, because I love the fact that you are capable of pulling through something like this. So there's a virus, the whole world is upside down. You guys, you're communicating on such a great level. So I don't have words for it. And I can only imagine how it's going to be like for you guys if you close the distance, how you'll be able to support each other, what goals you're going to achieve, the next 10, the next 15, the next 30 years, you know, and talking about that, like, what are your future plans? Where do you see each other in the future?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. Hopefully together, you know, as in married. I mean, while I love, you know, her, and I you know, don't mind the long distance because it helps us grow together. I don't know how much, if it's like 10 years from now, you'll still be long distance. Oh, that's gonna, no, I don't want that. I want to be together as soon as possible. So yes, please, can we finally get married? So that's a definite thing. But, man, like, we didn't think our lives would be this way. Like I'd say we didn't care about the long distance community before, but we've been so much more engaged in it ever since really the park, and then kind of meeting other people in the same situation, because you don't really know, like, being in that little area, you're, especially during COVID, you're just kind of contained to like, oh, my life's all about her life's all about me, hooray. And then kind of forgetting there's this whole other world out there of people who are struggling with the same thing. And we didn't really realize we were an inspiration to other people. Here we are in our relationship doing our stuff. And then we finally get messages like, you guys inspire me. Wait, what? We do? We're not awesome. Like, apparently it's like, oh, apparently we're kind of awesome. Like, when did that happen? It's a very strange thing to have people like contacting you and saying, yeah, I want relationship advice. Like, well, why are you talking to me? And yeah, it just creeps up on you. You don't even realize it. So even in the past year and a half for us, things have been just crazy with all the news interviews and with the website and with other things. It's been nuts. And to think, man, I can't imagine what 5 years from now is going to be like. I remember driving down the road, and we were going to be on Canadian national news that night. And I just said, honey, what are we talking about? Like, what's our talking point? And I stopped myself and going, what point in life am I now going, what's our talking point when we're on the news later? And that's just like a normal thing for me to say. What happened? And so like 5 years from now, I can't imagine what's just going to be normal life that today I'm looking at and going, oh, that's not going to happen. That's weird. Like, I'll never be at that level. So it's kind of just riding the wave of love. And that sounds really corny, but that's kind of what it is. Like, it's so corny, but it's so true. I just want to keep pursuing you and keep loving not just you, but other people who are in this, and trying to give the best advice I can to really support the community and seeing where that leads.
Yeah, I would say, Dave is right that we definitely want to go with the flow, but I definitely have a lot of, plans for our future. Like, we absolutely want to get married. We want to close the distance. We also want to, start building, a life together. Like you and Nacho, we want to travel. We want to see the world and just experience those adventures in person. Those are all like big, absolutely important goals that we have. But also we have been talking about maybe doing date night boxes for the long distance community. So being able to send couples to date night boxes where they can have and experience the same, food and the same date and the same activity together, despite being, thousands of miles apart. So that's something that we really want to be able to provide, because we know that that's something that really helps us in our relationship. And we want to be able to provide it for couples. So hopefully in the next few months, you can maybe see something like that launching from our page. That's something that I would love to have happen, but it's still in progress. It's still in the works, and it's a little hard to do while we're still so far apart to launch a business together. But we're so excited for all the support we've received, not just with the goals that we have now, but with our future. And there's been nothing but positivity from everyone we've talked to.
And this is also something that just develops. I mean, and you see how high the demand is, like how many questions you get about your relationship, what advice you would like to, what advice you give in general for everyone being in a long distance relationship, how you're dating on distance, like, and it's great to see that you are giving back by sharing so many information, and then like not being afraid to go further and to offer, for example, this date kit for couples to be able to feel a bit more connected, even though if they're dating on distance, which I think is lovely. Because when Nacho and I, when we used to date 5 years ago, I wish we would have something like this. So for us, it was difficult to find any information about long distance relationships in general. We felt lost, we felt alone with our feelings, with our thoughts. Obviously, we had each other, but we had some rough times as well where we weren't sure, hey, is this really going to work out? Because we didn't have anyone being an example that this can work, and we pulled through it alone. But having someone he's a very good example, strong enough, not only being able to support each other, but also being able to support a huge community. And there is a huge community nowadays. It's just great to see that you're not afraid of it, not at all.
Yeah, it's been, like you said, when you have a partner who brings out the best in you and you're achieving things that you never thought you could. That's exactly what it's like. Like having that fear be gone, that's all because of love. I do truly believe that love casts out fear. The fear of meeting, the fear of the future, the fear of, will this work out? I think love is stronger than all of that. Absolutely. Like without a doubt. So we are excited to see what comes forward. I agree that there's so much out there now that we need to support. So many people, even close couples who used to see each other all the time, with the pandemic now, are essentially forced into a long distance relationship because they can't fly, they can't see each other, they can't do what they typically could. So we're really excited to just be able to share what works for us and to be able to encourage people mainly to share some sort of happiness.
Yeah, we want love to flourish. It's, again, it sounds so corny, but I always look at myself and go, what have I become? Because I never thought that this would be me, like this, sap of, I'm so in love. I so love this. But once you finally experience it and saying, this is the person I would die for, this is the person I would sacrifice everything for, it just becomes really natural.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of couples like that won't even, like you said earlier, Kaelynn, that just don't do the normal stuff that we do over long distance. And you almost have no excuse at this point. And I can almost point to couples that are in person and go, shame. Like if I can do that and you're just sitting at home on Netflix, like you can do better, man. I can do better. All right. And she's 4,000 miles away. So come on. So it's more than just, for me, just saying long distance. Like I want to help people's relationships better. I think that's one thing that's lacking these days is people just they're more focused on themselves than the other person. I want to kind of help people get back to that and go, hey, this is what real sacrifice is. And this is the best way to live.
And after all, you get a lot out of it. So it's, you do get a lot of, like in your case, you do get a lot of feedback. You do get a lot of love back, and you're connecting with others. So it's like a win-win situation.
Exactly. Best
somehow.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you.
A huge perk of it too is that we've got to make friends with people around the world. Like, you're calling in from, how many hours time differences between us right now? I'm not even sure.
It's 8 p.m. here.
8 p.m. Yeah. So that's quite a lot. But to be able to meet people like that, we now have friends who are all across America, people who are in the Philippines, people who are in Germany, people who are in, like, where else have we gone, honey? Like South America, people across Canada as well. It's it's just awesome being able to say we have international friends now. We have long distance relationships that are friendships as well. So
it's true. Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to share with everyone who's listening?
I just want to encourage people, saying that not only is it possible for your long distance to work, it's possible for it to do more than just work. It's possible for it to thrive and be something that's so beautiful that people come from all over just to see your love. I think that people need to remember that encouragement is there. You aren't forced to just have a relationship that is barely making it. You're able to have a relationship that is beautiful and amazing and ends in ultimate true love, even though you're currently far apart. And I encourage people that it's going to be worth it. You're going to do fine. You've got this. You're going to make it through. Don't worry.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, the encouragement, and life's not about if storms comes, it's when. And for some of us in a long distance, like this is going to be a really, really difficult time in our lives, while also being a good part because you're still dating and you're in love and all these things are happening. But it's still, there's still pain associated with it. If you can get through this as a couple, everything else that hits you in life later on, and things will hit you, it's going to seem much easier. You're going to say, no, like I remember when I was able to overcome that with her, with me, doing these things together. And that's going to help you, 30, 40, 50 years in the future saying, hey, if I got through that, I can get through other stuff too. Life is going to be full of trouble. So you right now practicing what it's like, through all the things that you give in a marriage vow, saying, through over sickness and health and poor, like those are going to happen. So, being in long distance is just preparing us. And that's why I said, I think everyone needs to experience this a little bit in their lives of what it's like, maintaining and really just giving of yourself in this moment.
It's very well said. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. I don't have any words for it because it just makes me speechless, and it also makes me think about what journey we've been through, so Nacho and I. And sometimes you just forget about what you've been through. But especially what you just said, Dave, is if something happens, something maybe negative happens, something that's basically affecting your life, thinking back what you've dealt with already, it's just like, okay, so whatever, we take this as well, like throw all those stones towards us, we can handle it. And we find
now you're
it out.
Together handling it. Now when you're separated, handling it. Like, honey, how many things could we have solved if we were just together? But saying like, no, we're apart, and then still solving those problems. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can overcome it, you can overcome anything. And like you said, Tina, like those rocks being thrown at you now, like are so small compared to the ones that you've already endured. So it builds up a stronger relationship, right? The walls of your relationship are going to be able to endure anything.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us. This has been so fantastic to get to talk to you. If you have any other questions for us, always feel free to.
I know where to find you.
Absolutely. Long distance dates. That's us. longdistancedates.com.
And as mentioned, you will find it in the side notes. And I'm so excited. It was such a pleasure to meet you guys and to get to know the full story, not only just pieces of it, but to listen to the full story again with having you as guests today. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for all the valuable information you gave. And I would just wish you all the best for the future. Please take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Have a lovely day. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We do love what we're doing. It's always amazing to meet so many people from all over the world to talk about long distance relationships and multicultural relationships. And if you guys would like us to keep on doing what we're doing, please rate this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts in general, if it's iTunes or any other platform. And follow us on Facebook and or Instagram. It's International Love Story. And as always, if you do have questions, if there's a specific topic you would like to talk about, if you are struggling with something, just contact us directly. We are here to help. And the next episode will be published on the 18th of May. I'm going to talk to Sylvia, and Sylvia has a lot to share with us, and I'm so excited for this podcast episode already. But yeah, stay tuned. Please take care and hear you soon. Bye.